Another match that they decided to throw onto the card, and at least they put a little bit of effort into it by making this a part of the pre-show with Kofi Kingston slapping The Miz, which he totally deserved because he looked like an idiot dressed up the way that he was. But The Miz faces Kofi Kingston in a no disqualification match that really, if you weren't told it was a no DQ match, you would have no idea whatsoever. There wasn't a single weapon used in this, and I don't really think that anything came into play with no DQ. Peyton, you said that they didn't get counted out?
Well, shows how much you were paying attention, Tony, because throughout this match, not only did the referee not count them out while they were outside the ring, clearly to a count of 30 or maybe even 35, but there was also a point near the end of the match where Miz collided headfirst into an unexposed ring corner. So, yes, this was indeed a no disqualification matchup.
That's like stretching it.
Well.
Well. Coming to the defensive. Yeah. Well, what did you think about the match, though?
It was a different match for Miz and Kofi. I think, once again, people are being a little harsh on it. This was not a great match by any means. I think this is the worst one that these two guys have had. But in a series of matches between these guys that have been really good, being the worst is not necessarily a terrible thing. I think the thing that bothered a lot of people is that they told a different story throughout this than they normally would, where Kofi got hurt very early on and he had to overcome the fact that he was hurt. But because he was hurt, it slowed him down and we weren't getting that high action stuff that people expect from Kofi Kingston. And this prompted that crowd to give the dreaded boring chant. And honestly, I wonder if that boring chant never started, if everyone else would be as harsh on this match as they are. But whatever, what happened. I don't think this is a good example of the majority of the matches that we're going to see between these guys. I mean, if you watch the matches that they've had on Raw, they've pretty much all been satisfactory to fantastic. So I think it's just the fact that they went with a different story and people didn't like the story that they told. So that's unfortunate. I'm a different guy. I can appreciate different things in wrestling. I looked at it for what it was. It was another match, something different we got to see with these guys. It passed the time. It filled up this pay-per-view that overall I think was very watchable and enjoyable, and it was just a part of the card. It wasn't special. I'll agree with you there, but it filled its time fine.
Do you think it would have been better if people would have started chanting chicken noodle soup?
I think it would have been better if, yes.
Gimmick infringement. Gimmick infringement.
Were you chanting chicken noodle soup during this, Jester, or were you chanting boring?
I chant chicken noodle soup during every match, honestly, Tony.
He just does it all the time.
Out in the supermarket?
Drives his fucking mother insane. Chicken noodle soup. Chicken noodle soup.
We had that fucking yesterday.
Chicken noodle soup. Chicken noodle soup. It's kind of like Ryback.
Like, that's what he's chanting. Feed me more chicken noodle soup. Did you like the match there, Jester?
No. I'm honest. No, it was my least favorite match. It was just, and I was a huge Miz fan before, and I've never disliked Kofi. I don't know. I think the crowd was really hard on them with the boring chant, and I do like that they used the kickoff show as a way to make a match happen on the pay-per-view. That was a nice touch. But the match itself was just mediocre. I don't know. Wasn't a big fan.
I think it's a little bit harsh to start doing the boring chant for this, because I think that should be reserved for the matches that really are just flat out fucking boring and just, oh my god, end it now.
Yeah, that crowd was brutal on them. That was just uncalled for boring chant, honestly.
Yeah, this wasn't a good match that I would say. I don't even think it was as good as what they would have had on Raw, but at the same time, I don't think it justified a boring chant. That's something more for those the Big Show Batista matches or the Orton matches where he's doing nothing but a headlock. That kind of stuff is boring. Mm-hmm. Graham, Miz and Kingston.
I like what they did in the pre-show to set up this matchup, but from what I heard from people that were at the event, they didn't air the footage of that on the Titantron or whatever, so they had no idea that actually happened. So that might have played a factor into the matchup and why they couldn't have cared less for it. But even still, with or without that, like what Jester just said, I thought it was a mediocre matchup as well. And this is coming from a huge Miz fan. I know I'm in the minority here, but I'm still a huge fan of the Miz. It's just very hard to determine whether he's a babyface or a heel, and that's why I don't think people care about this feud. In addition to the fact that it's either the 16th time or the 17th time that these guys have feuded over the last 5 years. I mean, I don't see what it's supposed to be doing for either guy right now. The Miz is in no man's land. Kofi has been in the same place for the last 10 years. So it's just pointless right now. So I have no idea what this is supposed to accomplish, and just move on from here because it's been there, done that with both these guys.
Sean?
Sorry, I was reading something in the chat.
He's just choking to death. That's it.
What were we talking about? Oh, Miz and Kofi. I got a theory behind this boring chant. If they didn't announce it was a no disqualification match, do you reckon there would be a boring chant?
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess when you announce
Yes, I
it's
think
no
there
DQ,
still would be a boring chant. Absolutely.
yeah, but
It
that
was
brings
that
up a good point with the no DQ thing, though, because if you see that something's a no disqualification match, you kind of expect a chair to come into play, or maybe not necessarily a table or a ladder or anything like that, even though it's TLC, but something, maybe kendo sticks or trash can, or that's a good point. Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to see Kofi Kingston go heel after this feud, and I am hoping that the Fandango and Dolph Ziggler feud doesn't go on too long like this. Good God, how many times have we seen this match now? Like 2,500 times in the past week.
So you want to switch them up and have what, Miz
Kofi
against like Ziggler?
I've won last match, and then Kofi will go on to bigger and better things as a heel, I think. Make a feud with Biggie Langston for the IC Championship.
Man, that Welsh math, though. Jeez. 257,000 whatever times in a week. I don't think that's possible.
I don't know. They are workhorses. We have 2 more matches that we're going to talk about tonight. The Daniel Bryan Wyatt family match is coming up next, and then we're going to round this all out with the title unification TLC match between Orton and John Cena.